Potomac Bead Company, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on a twisted herringbone bracelet. We have a YouTube video on this already, but we did it a long time ago and the videos were a little bit not as complete. So I wanted to go into more detail, answer some more questions that some of you guys have had that have watched the video, and reshoot this tutorial in my own words and show you guys kind of how to do it, what to make, and the tips and techniques that I would use and show for doing this twisted herringbone bracelet. So the bracelet itself, Heather did a wonderful job in kind of designing and did the first video. And I'm going to do this follow-up video using the same size beads. So if you want to make this twisted herringbone, tubular herringbone bracelet, you're going to need 3 colors of seed beads. That being said, you can kind of do something different, throw in 2mm crystals instead in there, or do 2 colors of the one and 1 of the other, so play around. I'm going to be using 3 colors of 80 seed beads. For the materials that I'll use for the video, I'll also put links in the description of the video where it has the date that the video was published. There's usually a description that says what the video is about, that it's going to be this twisted tubular herringbone. And below there, there's a little show more button or a down arrow. I'll put links to the different materials that I'll be using for this very basic bracelet and this very basic stitch there. Again, I'm using 80 seed beads. In the original design, Heather used the Miyuki brand 80 seed beads, so I figured I'd switch up and do Toho brand seed beads. I had some of my coworkers at the store pick out some colors for me, and Bridget and Ashley picked out the semi-glazed of the Toho and then some PermaFinished. I have the semi-glazed in the olive rainbow. I have the PermaFinish in the blue slate, which is more of a silver with just a hint of blue. And then I have the PermaFinish in the peach coral. And these again are the Toho brand, but any seed beads will work for this. You could even do it with 15 O's or 11 O's or 6 O's. So play around with the different shapes. And you can also, little hint, hint, do it with different size seed beads and you get a totally different effect. So you could use 11s and 8s in the same twist. So 3 seed beads are what I recommend to get started with this design. All the same size is a good way to start. The whole thing is going to be done on some 0.006 wildfire beading thread. Similar if you're not sure with beading thread, wildfire, fireline, same kind of deal. I use the green color that wildfire produces 99% of the time, especially even here I'm using that olive color, but even with the beads that were used here, I probably would have done that as well. In addition to my thread, I have size 10 needles that I'll be working with. At the very end of the design, you'll need a bead or a cap or something to close up that tube that you've created. Heather used the 8mm glass pearls here. I'm going to be using some metal beads. So I just have these filigree metal silver beads that I'll be using at the end. In addition to that, you can use a toggle clasp, you can use a button, you can use a magnet. I have a push clasp. We have tons of new push clasps from Clasp Garden, so I figured I would do that. And I liked the difference of the box versus the actual roundedness of the rope, so I'll be using this box one. I also have handy a needle nose pliers. That's going to be used to flatten out my thread to make it easier to thread my needle. I have my thread zap or my thread burner because I'm most likely going to need to add thread to this project. I also am working on a nice bead mat. When I work and kind of move around, I like to use my bead on it board or a nice beading surface. And then if you want to, you can also have some super new glue, which is a super glue that you can use to actually glue the edges as you're working with it. To get started, we are going to begin with our stitch and then we'll do the ending at the very end. I want you to get 5 feet of beading thread onto your needle and create little piles of your 80 seed beads, and we'll begin to show you how to do this twisted tubular herringbone bracelet. So to begin my tubular herringbone stitch, I'm going to begin with ladder stitch. On your needle and thread, you're going to put 2 80s in your slate blue silver color. I'm going to let that drop down till I have about 10 inches left on my beading thread, because remember I need to come back and add my ends. From there, I'm going to go back up through that first bead. So I put the 2 beads on, I'm going to circle the thread, and going from that length of thread at the end, I'm going to go back through the first bead. That's going to put those 2 beads one right on top of the other. From here, I'm going to create a bridge thread that's going to go from the first bead to the second bead. And as I create that bridge thread from the first to second, I'm going to sew down the second 8-0 bead. From there, I'm going to add a green bead, that's my next color, and then sew back through that second silver bead in a circle. So I'm coming back around, the thread's exiting the bottom, and I'm sewing into the top. From there, I'm going to sew into the top of the green. Coming out the top of the green then, I'm going to add one more green. So into the bottom of the green before it, and then go down the top of the green that I just added. Coming out the bottom of the green that I just added, adding a pink, sewing down through that. So we're making circles. And if you're following, you're actually making a pattern of figure 8s. From here, I'm going to sew up through the pink and then add one more pink bead. I have my pink bead. I'm going to make that circle, sewing now coming out the top of the first pink into the bottom of that first pink. As I come out them, I'm going to sew down through the last pink, just like if I was getting ready to add another bead. From here, this is my starter. This is actually my ladder. I'm going to go and create a tube out of it to do the tubular herringbone. What I'm going to do is go back to the first silver bead, and then you're going to be starting at your end where your stop bead or your stop thread is, that beginner thread. And my thread's coming out the bottom of the pink, so I'm going to go up the bottom of the silver. That's going to pull those together. I'm going to go down through the top of the pink. So instead of adding a bead, we just went through the first one. And then I'm going to go back up through that bluish silver bead. This is now the start of our tube of our tubular herringbone. Herringbone is done in groups of 2, so we're always going to be adding 2 beads onto our needle at once. Those 2 beads that we add are always going to be 2 beads of the same color. So now that we have our starting section here, we're going to get ready to actually start our herringbone stitch coming out of this ladder stitch. Now that we have the starting ladder stitch together, we're going to start in with our herringbone stitch. The herringbone stitch always adds 2 beads at a time. Again, remember, we're always adding 2 of the same color at a time. So I have my 2 silver on, and I'm coming out of the first silver. I'm going to go down through the second silver. Now I'm going to go up through the first green, and I'm going to add 2 more green. Down through the second green. Up through the first pink. We're going to add 2 more pink. And then go down through the second pink. And that completes our first row of our herringbone stitch. Because we did the ladder stitch, it'll actually look like 2 rows of herringbone. To progress to the third, we're going to do a step up. So instead of going down just 1 bead, we're going to go up 2 of the silver. When we go up the silver blue color, we're always going to be going up 1 more bead than the rest of the times around. You can see that it looks like it sits disjointed. As we create and add each row, it'll start sitting more and more tubular shape. We're also going to begin that spiraling effect now. To do so, you're going to think that you're going up 1, down 2. So I have 2 of my silver on. I'm going to go down 2 silvers. From there, I'm going to go up 1 green. Put on 2 green, and then I'm going to go down 2 green. Up 1 pink, add 2 pink, down 2 pink. So you're always going up 1, down 2. There we get on our next piece of our herringbone, and you can see that it looks really, really kind of far apart. From here, we want to go up 1 and down 2. However, we also need to step up. So instead of going our up 1 when we get to the gray, you're going to be going up 2. From here, 2 silvers go on. We went up our 1, down 2. From here over to the green, up 1. And I would suggest also, if you're kind of lost a little bit on this, definitely watch some other tubular herringbone before doing the pattern. 2 green get added. We came up 1 green, we're going down 2. So up 1, down 2. So here again, up 1 through that first pink. Add 2 pink, because it's easy to remember the pattern because you're always adding the color you're coming out of. And then we're going to go down 2 pink. When it comes to the silver, instead of going the up 1, you're always, again, going to be going up 2 because you're going up really just 1 bead, but you have to do that step up. So you're going to go up through the 1 and then step up. You can see it's starting to bring those beads in towards the center. So again, 2 silvers. I'll do a couple more rotations. 2 silvers. We came up 1, down 2. Up 1 green. Add 2 green. Down 2. Up 1 pink. Oops. Down 2 rather, sorry. We're going to go up 1 pink, add 2 pink, down 2. Again, when we get to the silver, you're going to think it normally you're just going up 1, but we have to do our step up, so it's going to be up 2. This starts that spiraling effect, you can see. 2 silvers go on, we're coming out that 1 silver, we're going to call it. So we're out 1, down 2, up 1, add the beads, down 2. While I'm doing that, I usually also go up my 1 for my next set, add my beads, down 2. As you progress also, you can see where you need to go to, because you're always going to see that diagonal thread line. So you need to go up 2 because you are doing the step up there at the silver. 2 beads, down 2. And I got a third one in there. Just want to go down 2. Up 1. And again, you're always going to see kind of that diagonal stitch there. 2 beads, down 2. Up 1, 2 beads, down 2. That completes that row, and now I need to get ready to start the next one. To do so, I need to step up and go through 1 bead. 2 beads, down 2. You can see I spiral it and twist it in my hand. Up 1, 2 beads, down 2. Spiral it, up 1, 2 beads, down 2. Done with that row. You can really start to see the spiraling effect starting to happen here, which is going to get you that nice twist and turn. So you're going to continue going up 1, down 2, and then when you get to the silver, it's going to seem like going up 2, but really you're just doing that step up through that first one that you added and then up through 1. You can see that spiraling effect happening. Continue on until you get your length, which is most likely going to be about 6 to 6.5 inches, depending on how much you're using at the end and what sort of beads you're using to do your closure. So just to show you as it's getting a little bit longer, I did have to go in and add thread, obviously because I started out with just a small piece of thread. When I was coming out the top of one of the beads, I should have recorded and I apologize, I did not. I tied on new thread and had it just sit right in between I'm not sure I can even find it now where I have that added thread. It just blends right on in, and then continued on with the extra piece. But I wanted to show you that spiral really happening in effect, going through, adding your beads, and continuing on with your stitch to get that nice spiraling effect. As you come to the end of the design, you're still going to have that opening like the herringbone does. What you're going to do is actually repeat our start where we did the ladder stitch. You're going to repeat it here at the end. So we're basically doing it backwards, that we're getting the gray and we're going to go into the pink beside it, down the pink, back up the gray, circling around doing that ladder stitch. Back to the pink then, and on to the next pink. Up the pink, grab onto the green, down the green, circle back around to the pink. Creating those bridge threads down the green, up the green, and now we're going to connect to the grayish blue. Down that, circle back up. So that doesn't affect the pattern at all, and it helps to close up and seam that end. Here then we're going to go in and use our beads. So you can use beads, you can use beads caps, you can use buttons, something basically to close in that tube. I've also seen it where there's memory wire used with it, so that's another idea, that you could use memory wire with it, and that gives it a fun look as well, that you can just slide that right down the middle. You can also do it as a necklace, that you have the necklace completed and then slide some beadable wire or some of the bigger bead-along cable down the middle and have it free form floating along the middle. To add the bead, you're going to simply go up through the bead, and that bead then we're going to get so it'll sit right in the middle and close up that stitch. To do so, we are going to add one of our pink beads, and then we're going to sew through our clasp. Sew through the loop of the clasp, and then we're going to come back down through the pink bead and back down through our metal bead. What I want to do is get it centered on the tube. So I'm going to go over to the bead directly across from it, which is a pink one, and sew down. That's going to get that end bead in there. And now what I'm going to do is basically reinforce. Doing almost a ladder stitch, go back to the green one next to it, through the bead, give a nice tight pull, through that pink bead again, through the clasp. And this is going to get more times and more stitches through the clasp, which is always good. Back down through the bead and the metal bead, and then over to the green bead, which is going to be the one directly across from the silver bead that we just did. That's going to bring that bead back to center. And then we're going to go one more time through the bead, back up through the clasp, and then to knot off the bead, I'm going to sew down, or knot off the thread rather, I'm going to sew down further into the project and knot that off. When I go into the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing, taking this thread here that we kept long, adding the needle to it, adding on my bead, and then another one of my pink beads, and attaching to the clasp. Once you burn down the edges, then your bracelet is complete. Like I said, if you want to use the super glue glue, you can do that. I'm going to put the push clasp on the other end here and have that fun end. Another way to end these, a lot of times I've seen with people using fun like lampwork beads and using a figure 8 or an S hook. Like I said, you can do toggle. You can even make it a bangle that you can do a slip on. So that is options for you for the ending. Again, I just went up through the bead, through the seed bead, around the clasp, back through the seed bead, down through the ladder stitch, and up through another bead of the ladder stitch. And I did that on both sides each time through every bead. So kind of came down and up through at least 4 times there on the end. When Heather did hers, she just came through the purl, back down through the purl, and did the same thing, linking on to another portion of that ladder stitch at the end of the herringbone twisted tubular section. Again, if you need any of the materials, you can go back to the beginning of the video, but it's just 3 tubes of Toho seed beads. You can also go below the video to the date stamp that says when the video was produced. And in that date stamp section, in that show more little button, you have the actual links to the different products and categories online. You can always also subscribe to this YouTube channel, and when you subscribe, you'll get regular updates when I do new videos, new designs, when we have new products, and when there's new things going on at the Potomac Bead Company that we do little YouTube videos to let you know about. You can also check me out at PotomacBeads.com, on our Instagram and our Pinterest page, see all the things that inspire us, as well as join our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. And that's a wonderful group that has tons and tons of inspiration in it, beautiful patterns, ideas, and really helpful people that help to give ideas, solve problems, and really it's just a great community to be a member of. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and have fun in the multiple uses that you can do with this twisted herringbone style. Again, great for necklaces, bracelets. You can even do smaller beads and do earrings out of it. So really go to town with this fun twisted